The New York Knicks are staying busy this offseason with roster adjustment. Reports indicate that the front office is preparing to hand out 3 two-way contracts, and one of the names being seriously considered is Summer League standout Dink Pate. Let's take a closer look at what the latest updates suggest about the team's plan. Although the Knicks entered the summer with limited cap flexibility and few draft assets, they still managed to strengthen their roster with smart acquisition. Now, the focus has shifted to how they will structure their developmental pieces. According to recent reporting, second-round pick Mohamed Diawara is expected to be one of the players offered a two-way spot, a move that has been rumored since the conclusion of Summer League. Another potential candidate is Kevin McCullough Jr., who could also return on a two-way deal. For him to earn a standard roster spot, New York would need to either use a veteran minimum slot or clear space via a trade, both of which seem unlikely at the moment. This leaves one more two-way position open, with names like Dink Pate and Ron Harper Jr. emerging as logical fits. There's also the real possibility of James Nnaji entering the conversation as the Knicks continue to evaluate their rookie and two-way contract options. If the organization opts to use the second-round rookie exception on another player, Nnaji could very well be considered for one of the remaining two-way openings. In that scenario, the roster alignment would likely look something like this: Diawara securing the rookie exception contract, McCullough occupying one of the two-way deals, and Pate and Nnaji effectively competing for the final spot. This competition not only incentivizes each player to maximize their performance, but also ensures that the Knicks are putting their most promising young talent in positions to prove themselves. Where Dink Pate truly stands out is his Summer League showing, which captured the attention of fans and front office personnel alike. Despite entering the league undrafted, Pate quickly demonstrated that he has the tools, mindset, and skill set of a player who might easily have heard his name called on draft night under different circumstances. His combination of size, versatility, scoring ability, and poise against high-level competition made him one of the most noticeable and memorable players on the Knicks' Summer League roster. Beyond just scoring, Pate showed glimpses of court vision, defensive awareness, and a willingness to compete in all phases of the game, traits that are critical for a two-way contract player who will need to adapt between G League and NBA-level competition. A two-way contract for Pate would provide him with the ideal bridge to develop while remaining closely tied to the main Knicks roster. He would get consistent playing time in Westchester to refine his skills, gain confidence, and learn the nuances of professional basketball, all while having the chance to step in for the NBA team when opportunities arise due to injury or rotation need. This pathway allows the Knicks to monitor his progress closely, provide targeted development, and potentially integrate him into the rotation in the near future, if he proves ready. Ultimately, the Pate versus Nnaji dynamic adds an extra layer of intrigue to the Knicks' roster-building strategy. It's a clear signal that the organization is not only focused on the present, but also on building a pipeline of young players capable of contributing immediately or developing into significant rotation pieces over time. Diawara, on the other hand, feels like a lock for New York in some form. His athleticism and energy in Las Vegas made him an obvious choice for the second-round rookie exception, which would give him a guaranteed path into the system. McCullough also raised eyebrows with his versatility. Long known as a defensive-minded guard, he proved in Summer League that he can rebound, make plays, and even generate offense when needed. Then there's the case of Nnaji. Earlier this month, reports surfaced that he informed Barcelona he would not be returning, opting instead to pursue his NBA career. Moves like that usually suggest some level of assurance that an opportunity in the league is waiting. If true, it makes sense that the Knicks could use their final two-way contract on him. Still, much of the excitement centers around Pate. He's raw, but he showed enough to justify serious investment. If he lands in Westchester on a two-way, his development could accelerate quickly, making him a potential sleeper for New York's long-term plan. At the end of the day, the Knicks are piecing together a collection of rookies and young prospects who not only add intrigue to the roster, but also provide multiple pathways for the organization to build sustained success. The goal is clear: find players who can either contribute meaningful minutes right away or steadily develop into reliable rotation pieces over the next few seasons. Whether it's Tidjane Diawara, bringing his length and defensive instincts, Kevin McCullough Jr., offering his versatility and toughness, Nnaji adding size and rebounding, or Pate showcasing his energy and scoring flashes, New York is signaling that it values these roster mechanisms as an avenue to maximize depth, maintain financial flexibility, and potentially uncover hidden gems. One important factor to keep in mind is the developmental stage of someone like Kevin McCullough Jr. His situation is unique because, in many ways, he still hasn't had a fair chance to truly go through the rhythm of a full rookie campaign. Even during his time with the G League last year, he joined later in the process, meaning he never fully acclimated to the pace, physicality, and consistency required at the professional level. That reality makes this upcoming year absolutely critical for him. A complete season offers him the opportunity to find his footing, develop chemistry with teammates, and adjust his game in a way that shows long-term potential. For McCullough, Westchester will be more than just a proving ground. It's a platform where he can redefine his trajectory. If he displays steady growth on both ends of the floor, builds confidence as a decision-maker, and shows the ability to impact games consistently, it's only a matter of time before the conversation about a call-up to the main roster becomes serious. And once that window opens, the Knicks will be in position to reward his progress with meaningful opportunities in Madison Square Garden. Of course, nothing in the NBA is guaranteed. Every prospect has to fight for minutes, prove themselves daily, and take advantage of every chance they're given. But history has shown that players who consistently put in the work and demonstrate readiness eventually earn their breakthrough. That's the message behind the Knicks' approach. By investing in development and giving young talent the tools to succeed, the organization increases its odds of finding valuable contributors who can either support a championship run or serve as key assets in future roster moves. The Knicks seem to be handling this stage of their roster building perfectly. They're investing time and resources into players like Mohamed Diawara, McCullough, Dink Pate, and possibly James Nnaji. Developing young talent isn't just about immediate depth. It's about planting seeds that can grow into long-term contributors. A few years down the line, these rookies could evolve into reliable bench pieces who provide value on cost-controlled contracts. That flexibility allows New York to continue chasing star talent while maintaining balance and depth, a formula every serious contender needs. And speaking of contenders, it's worth looking at how the Knicks are being evaluated heading into next season. According to odds makers, New York is projected as one of the better teams in the league. They've even appeared in projections for squads capable of hitting 55 or more wins, and in some models, even 65+. Only elite teams make those lists, and it's telling that the Knicks are in that conversation at all. The breakdown looks like this. Oklahoma City currently leads the projections, followed by Cleveland, Houston, and then teams like New York, Denver, and Orlando. For the Knicks, the odds of reaching 55 wins are set at +112, which indicates that while Vegas doesn't see it as the most likely outcome, it's far from impossible. When you look at the odds for 65 wins, they jump all the way to $2,000, a clear sign that bookmakers don't expect that kind of historic regular season from New York. But here's the key takeaway. Being included in these discussions shows how much respect the Knicks have earned across the league. Odds makers don't place teams in this tier unless they have strong rosters, capable coaching, and front offices that are making smart, calculated moves. The Knicks check all of those boxes. They've spent the offseason positioning themselves as real contenders, not just for this year, but for the seasons ahead. This balance between building for today and investing in tomorrow is exactly why Leon Rose and his staff continue to inspire confidence. They're not chasing quick fixes or short-term splashes. Instead, they're ensuring the team remains competitive year after year by blending established talent with carefully developed prospects. When an organization takes this kind of long view, it shows they aren't just focused on surviving a season, they're building something sustainable. The Knicks have been proving that strategy works. And as the odds suggest, the basketball world is noticing. With the right mix of stars, depth, and youth development, New York looks prepared to compete at the highest level. It's now confirmed. We finally have clarity on the role of one of the Knicks' most intriguing young prospects, as reports from team insiders have shed light on head coach Mike Brown's early plans. Alongside this, there's also been renewed discussion about a familiar name to Knicks fans, former center Moses Brown, as the organization continues to explore ways to add more size and depth to the roster. Let's start with Ariel Hukporti, the German big man who is entering what technically counts as his second NBA season, although his journey to this point has been far from ordinary. At 23 years old, Hukporti is a bit older than most second-year players due to his unique path. Originally projected as a first-round pick in 2021, his career took a major detour when he ruptured his Achilles, forcing him to miss an entire year. After a long recovery and steady progress, he eventually re-entered the draft and was selected in 2024 by New York, with the final pick of the second round. Despite the low draft position, Hukporti quickly showed flashes that suggested he was much more valuable than where he was taken. His style of play has drawn comparisons to Isaiah Hartenstein. Both are left-handed, skilled passers from the high post, comfortable putting the ball on the floor, and capable of showing touch in the mid-range. Hukporti, in particular, has displayed promising post skill, often calling for the ball in summer league action and showing glimpses of a player who wants to be aggressive offensively. The Knicks clearly valued him highly, believing his talent was greater than his draft slot indicated. However, according to team insider James Edwards, the reality is that his role this season may be limited at the start. Edwards projected that while Hukporti could see some minutes, the main front court rotation is likely to be dominated by Karl Anthony Towns, Mitchell Robinson, Gershon Yabusele, and Josh Hart. Given Robinson's history of injuries, there might be occasional opportunities for Hukporti to step in, but Edwards emphasized that it's unlikely he'll be a consistent fixture in the regular rotation unless circumstances, like injuries or load management, open the door. Edwards also suggested that Mike Brown will probably stick with a 9-man rotation to begin the year. The expected core group includes Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Karl Anthony Towns, Josh Hart, Mitchell Robinson, Deuce McBride, Jordan Clarkson, and Gershon Yabusele. While the Knicks do have some younger players worth monitoring, the coaching staff seems to prefer a tighter rotation, leaning on proven contributors. This leaves some questions about the backcourt depth. Edwards noted that McBride is better suited to play off the ball rather than as a true lead guard, which could push the Knicks to use their final roster spot on a veteran point guard. Landry Shamet has been mentioned as a potential target, and if signed, McBride would likely slide back into his more natural role. Still, McBride has shown he's capable of handling point guard duties in stretches, and his defensive impact makes him a reliable piece. There's also some intrigue around Tyler Kolek, who could carve out a role as a playmaking guard in Brown's system, though his scoring consistency and defense remain works in progress. If given opportunities, he could eventually prove himself as a useful contributor. As for Hukporti, much of his development last year took place in the G League, where his minutes were somewhat limited due to Moses Brown occupying the starting center role. This dynamic raises a new discussion, as Brown's name has resurfaced in connection with the Knicks' search for additional size in the front court. Before diving deeper into Moses Brown, it's worth circling back to Ariel Hukporti's rookie year production. His playing time was limited, but he still managed to average 2 points and 2 rebounds per game across 25 appearances, shooting an efficient 67% from the field. While those numbers don't jump off the page, they came in extremely short stints, sometimes just a few minutes here and there, which makes it hard for a young player to build rhythm or confidence. Still, in the handful of games where he did get extended minutes, Hukporti flashed real potential. His energy, rim presence, and physical tools suggested he could become a valuable rotation big with more consistent opportunity. The inconsistency in minutes was more of a short-term obstacle than a long-term concern. Entering the upcoming season, there's optimism that Hukporti could carve out a more stable role, particularly if the Knicks commit to giving him at least 5 to 10 minutes per game as a true backup center. Several observers have pointed out that this could help solidify the team's interior depth and ease the workload on Mitchell Robinson. One of the main comparisons in this discussion is Gershon Yabusele, who has been considered as a potential small ball 5. While Yabusele brings toughness and energy, his numbers suggest he's not as effective in the paint as a traditional center. Last season, he collected only about 12% of available rebounds and just over 1% of block opportunities when on the court, stats that are more aligned with a power forward. Hukporti, by contrast, posted around 13.5% rebounding and 4% in block percentage, making him a much more natural fit defensively at the center spot. Of course, small ball lineups often sacrifice rim protection and rebounding in exchange for pace and spacing, and Yabusele does bring value in those areas. But if New York wants a true big to anchor second-unit minutes, Hukporti's skill set clearly makes more sense. That brings us to another important name, Moses Brown. The 7'2" center has been on the radar of Knicks fans for some time and remains a legitimate option if the team feels Hukporti isn't quite ready to handle consistent backup duties. Brown dominated in the G League last season, averaging an eye-popping 18 points and 17 rebounds per game. His size, energy, and knack for offensive rebounding made him a force around the rim, and his lob-catching ability gave guards an easy target in pick-and-roll action. Brown even earned brief NBA stints with the Indiana Pacers and Dallas Mavericks. Though his minutes were limited in Indiana, he made an impact in Dallas, averaging 12 points and 8 rebounds across 4 games. In 2 of those outings, he looked nearly unstoppable, putting up double-doubles and shooting over 70% from the field. His efficiency was remarkable, finishing the season with a true shooting percentage of 74%, while also converting 83% of his limited free throw attempts. The Mavericks reportedly wanted to keep him, but salary cap restrictions prevented them from signing him to a longer-term deal. As a result, Brown returned to the G League and finished the year with the Westchester Knicks, where he continued to produce at a high level. Now a free agent once again, he remains closely tied to New York's plan. If he doesn't land a full-time NBA contract elsewhere, Brown is expected to start the season as the anchor of Westchester's front court, keeping him firmly within the Knicks' orbit as a call-up option. Moses Brown remains one of those intriguing cases of players who live on the edge between the NBA and the G League. He has bounced around multiple franchises, flashed genuine impact when given opportunities, but has never managed to establish himself as a permanent fixture in a rotation. His current situation with the Knicks reflects that same pattern. He'll be present at training camp, he'll get chances to showcase his game, but he's no longer eligible for a two-way contract due to his years of NBA service. That means the only way he could crack the main roster would be through a standard deal, which, in turn, would require the Knicks to make cuts or explore trades to open up space. Brown's journey helps explain this predicament. He had encouraging stretches with the Oklahoma City Thunder, playing in more than 40 games and showing real potential as a rim protector and rebounder. He also had brief stints in Portland and Dallas, where he flashed the same skill set, but never found long-term stability. Curiously, despite his time with the Westchester Knicks, Brown has never suited up for the New York Knicks in a regular season game. That fact alone adds a layer of narrative interest. Born and raised in New York, a product of Malloy High School, where he played alongside Cole Anthony, and later a standout at UCLA, Brown carrying the Knicks jersey at Madison Square Garden would resonate deeply with the fan base. The challenge, however, is strictly logistical. To bring him aboard, the Knicks would need to maneuver within their roster, potentially moving on from a younger player who hasn't carved out a consistent role yet. One example that has been floated is Tyler Kolek. If he were moved in a trade, the Knicks would gain flexibility to sign 2 veterans on minimum deal. Brown could then be one of those additions, alongside other names being speculated, such as Malcolm Brogdon, Ben Simmons, or Landry Shamet. While not the kind of headline-grabbing signing that shifts national narratives, adding Brown would be a strategic move, bolstering the team's depth at center and providing valuable size and rebounding off the bench. The appeal lies in Brown's production whenever he gets consistent minutes. He's not a stretch big who spaces the floor, nor a shot creator who reshapes an offense, but what he does bring is tangible: rebounding, rim presence, efficient finishing around the basket, and the kind of physicality that stabilizes second-unit lineups. Against opposing bench units, that can be the difference between holding momentum or surrendering it. If no contract materializes, the likeliest outcome is that Brown returns to the Westchester Knicks, where he excelled last season. That, however, wouldn't close the book on him. Staying within the organization means he remains on the radar for a potential call-up, whether due to injuries, roster adjustments, or an opening created mid-season. Training camp will also serve as his platform to make an impression directly on Tom Thibodeau and the Knicks coaching staff. Alongside Brown, several other young names are expected to see meaningful time with Westchester, including Mohamed Diawara, James Nagy, and Dink Pate, all prospects in need of steady minutes to accelerate their development. The Knicks' strategy appears clear: use the G League not only as a developmental ground, but as a reservoir of talent ready to be plugged into the main roster when the opportunity presents itself. For Brown in particular, his persistence and consistent production at the developmental level justify the fan anticipation of finally seeing him on the Garden floor. Whether that chance comes at the start of the season or later down the line will depend on how the front office manages roster flexibility. What's certain is that Moses Brown remains firmly in the conversation and could yet play a meaningful role for the Knicks in 2025.